We met on a rocky pier off the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. I was attracted by her eyes, which shimmered unusually blue, as if silver had been poured into them. During a casual conversation, it turned out that her name is Irina, and she paints pictures. I couldn't get enough of this wonderful girl: long slender legs, graceful figure, sleek fingers, luxurious hair. But it wasn't just my stunning looks that clouded my mind. Something incredible was happening in this beauty's soul, and she was completely unable to hide it. I peered closely into Irina's face, hoping to understand the nature of the inexplicable admiration that washed over me, but it was all in vain. After some time, we moved towards the coastal bar, whose walls were clearly built hastily. The metal awning whined pitifully with any movement of the wind, swinging on flimsy beams. Having ordered beer, we sat down on wooden chairs. There was a subtle tension in the air, as if a dangerous storm was about to break out. Taking a sip from a wide glass, the girl suddenly spoke, and her voice, with a pleasant hoarseness, shrouded in sadness, told me a story from which I am still under a deafening impression. My mother, Elena Viktorovna, never loved me, since I was born from a man who neglected her in every possible way. But since the child was already born, she had to come to terms with and play the role of an exemplary mother in society. All my life I have lived among icy icebergs of indifference and indifference, and I was left to my own devices. I was deprived of intimate conversations, maternal advice, education and, at least, any caresses. Therefore, from the neighboring girls I learned how children are made, what menstruation is, and why people actually get married. My overall view of life was distorted, negative and detached. But what to expect from a person who grew up among hatred, curses and death wishes? She straightened her shiny curls, took a sip of beer, lit a cigarette and continued her story. I was silent, afraid to interrupt this painful flow, which, obviously, had been yearning to break out for many years. Her wonderful gaze was clouded by a veil of suffering, and all I wanted to do now was rush to Irina with hugs, making up for her many years of lack of feelings and the memory of melancholy and loneliness with real hot love. At 15 I fell in love with a bad guy named Roma, but nothing good came of it. Of course it didn't work out. Then there were all the same Roma, only with different faces and different ways of betraying and killing. And at 21 I gave birth to a beautiful baby from one unfortunate man who was killed during an attempted robbery before she was born. She named her Ines. She fell silent, and thin streams of tears ran down her matte cheeks. The more Irina plunged into sad memories, the more magnificent she became, and when she began to cry, I was generally stunned by her sacred face. Before, I had no idea that pain could be so transformative, and even so divine. For a moment I thought that there was something manic in my trepidation, because would a normal person revel in the suffering of others, finding poignancy and attractiveness in it? When the girl calmed down, she told me that Elena had sued her baby, using your connections and money. Having slandered Irina, the woman ensured that her daughter did not have the right to see her child. This story, of course, shocked me, because I am a lawyer, but what amazed me even more was how severe mental pain creates indescribable beauty. You know, I'll help you, and I suddenly said, not expecting this from myself. In general, I had a lot of unfinished business, so I stopped mid-sentence and then clarified, I'll just finish my current business with clients. Irina beamed and took my hands in hers. If you manage to win back my girl, I will give you all my savings. Her eyes blazed with a crazy fire, which made her seem even more amazing. I wanted to say that I didn't need her money, and that I wasn't against another way of paying for my services, but I thought better of it in time and remained silent. Otherwise I would definitely pass for a sexually preoccupied maniac. I was not able to fight with Elena Viktorovna alone, so I had to involve all my friends who had at least some connection to the court. The matter turned out to be very difficult. It seemed that these lawsuits would never end. We had to defend Irina's rights for 2 years. Her mother was caught hiring a killer for her daughter, and this is what saved us, because she was under covert surveillance. When Ines was reunited with her brave mother, the second one was so happy that even outwardly she changed very much and, to my surprise, I lost my former interest in her. Now her face had smoothed out, hiding alluring, barely noticeable wrinkles, and her eyes had changed the color of glowing blue-silver to a quiet, heavenly surface. She was so happy, that I was even upset. It was unusual to see an ordinary girl in her place instead of that deity.